It's WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. This comes to us from Coming Soon. WWE reportedly planning huge match for WrestleMania 41, and the rumors are flying because of what happened at the end of Bad Blood, where The Rock came out, stood in the entranceway, stared into the ring where Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes were with Jimmy Uso, and The Rock gave the 1, 2, 3 sign.
Mhm.
They're thinking triple threat for WrestleMania, Rock, Roman, Cody. So that's why I don't think Cody loses before WrestleMania if this rumor here is true. This is coming to us from Coming Soon here. The Rock has to be involved at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And not only because he's on the board and can just do that, and because he probably has it in his contract that he makes another $9 million if he makes an appearance. The Rock is a superstar, not just in wrestling, but anywhere else. So if he's willing to do that and he's willing to build to it for several months, I can see this. Cody Rhodes, The Rock, and Roman Reigns on the table for WrestleMania 41. What do you think, John?
It's crazy to think about, because with that triple threat, are you going to give Rock's old ass the belt? You know, like Rock's been out of wrestling for so long, and he kind of comes back. But and I'll go ahead and say it, to the Fixer's point, that would be massive. Like, that would be everyone would want to see that. You would have people that are throwback really interested in it, and then even people that are like, oh man, 90s guy is going to be in the main event. And then you're going to have people that are watching today that are like, oh, I love Roman Reigns, or I love Cody Rhodes. You're going to love one of them, right? So,
or you're going to find superhero movie people who are like, The Rock, really? He's wrestling in the main event?
I've never watched wrestling. I've only seen the movie. Yeah, man, we've been fantasy booking a lot tonight, but I don't even know who'd win. I mean, you have to kind of think. I mean, if Roman Reigns wins, it's like he just had the title for 3 years. You're gonna give him another huge run.
Yeah, finally getting his babyface run.
Yeah.
Or something happens in that match, Cody retains, and it's Rock Roman for SummerSlam, which next year for the first time will be a 2-night event.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's our fantasy booking where The Rock,
because it's 4 months later, end of April to end of August. You're talking 4 months later. If The Rock's going to have maybe like a 6-month run, he could do that.
Wow. Well, interesting.
I still think there's got to be animosity between The Rock and Roman Reigns, right?
Which I'm sure
something bloodline related.
It'll be easy to drum up because they've already been a very bad rivalry for a while, and they're almost still a little on thin ice, right? They barely respect each other.
Yes. Barely respect each other. The Rock is still doing the final boss thing. It's like they're competing with, alpha male titles. Tribal chief, head of the table, final boss. I have my own belt.
The best is The Rock comes out with his own belt.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Like he walks out like you're going, wait, how does he have a belt? What? Who did he beat?
We had a guy in the Indies that would wear his own belt, and no one would really like tell him like, hey, you can't just wear a belt if you can't just give yourself a belt. And he was one of the managers. It was a big German belt, and I was what is this? And he wasn't necessarily German. He just had a German belt. I was like, what are you doing? You're a manager. Rex, what a piece of work. He won't watch this. Don't worry.
Well, and if he does, he now knows that he is recalled fondly.
Yes, I do. I do think highly of him because of that, because it's hilarious.
So we'll go from good news for WrestleMania to Vince McMahon. This made the AP wire, the Associated Press. Woman accusing Vince McMahon of sexual abuse asked WWE to waive confidentiality agreements. This is an interesting wrinkle. you're thinking, why would the WWE waive confidentiality? Like, they're not asking Vince McMahon to waive confidentiality.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be asking TKO Holdings to waive confidentiality. Meaning, if it's true that Vince McMahon was using company funds for these payoffs, then he technically is not in control of these non-disclosure agreements. The company is. And so the plaintiff in this suit is trying to play the card onto TKO Holdings like, hey, do you want this to go away? Do you want to be rid of this story and to distance yourself from it as completely as you can?
Yeah.
Your company now owns the rights to that NDA. Waive it. Let people testify and show that you guys want no part of what Vince McMahon was involved in. I think it's an interesting negotiating tactic, and I wonder if it'll work.
That's crazy because Vince, it might be in TKO's best interest because TKO could say, hey, not only are we not involved anymore, we're doing the right thing. We're letting the victim speak up. We're the good guys here. Go get Vince. And it's no reason to protect Vince. And then that, I'm sure there's a lot in there with the confidentiality agreements that are just nuts.
NDAs against other former employees is what she wants. She wants to be able to establish that there's a pattern of this behavior.
Oh.
But so far, she's the only one coming forward because Vince didn't pay her enough money.
Yes.
He promised her $3 million and only made good on $1 million.
Yeah. So, and even if they get those NDAs removed, then it's going to be a free for all. Women are like, yeah, I signed an NDA, I got paid, but this is what happened, And I don't think the public's going to think too poorly about that, right? They're going to be like, okay, if you don't have, you want to tell the truth, tell the truth. Why not?
This comes from one of Janelle Grant's attorneys, Ann Callis. If WWE and its parent company Endeavor are serious about parting ways with Vince McMahon and the toxic workplace culture he created, their executives should have no problem with releasing former WWE employees from their non-disclosure agreements. This is the first step to rehabilitating a company that covered up decades of sexual assault and human trafficking. So yes, this is them trying to play who's left at the publicly traded corporation against Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a good negotiating strategy as long as the truth gets out. If people were harmed, then if this is the way for them to get some, I don't know. I mean, there's no way to undo an assault.
Yeah,
But
right.
if this is a way to, publicize this enough where it acts as a deterrent to it happening again.
Yeah, it could be a deterrent for things in the future because honestly, it was happening as early as 2 years ago. It wasn't like something that was happening in the 80s and then just totally dropped off and stopped. It's like, no, these accusations are like 2 years ago. It's nothing like that. So
it started in the 80s, but it's continuing.
Yeah, I'm saying like it still probably is happening in different companies today because it was happening in the WWE now. But before we hop off here and jump on to the next topic, the Fixer has something.
Very good, the Fixer.
Here, I clicked the wrong one. Sorry.
Roman is babyface. You think Cody Rhodes is turning heel?
Yeah.
Wow. Cody is due for a heel turn. It's been an interesting babyface run for Cody Rhodes because he's been a babyface for 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Right, since he's been back. It's almost 3 years. It's 2.5 years since he's been back. He's been a babyface the whole time. He's managed to be not just the vanilla babyface that everybody likes, but he's also become more of a grittier babyface. So I wonder if one thing about modern pro wrestling, if something is getting stale, they will not hesitate to switch a guy babyface to heel.
Hmm.
or vice versa, heel the babyface.
And then here's another one.
I don't know if anyone was unwillingly involved. Yeah, I mean that's part of this. Is the reason why people trade favors for promotions is because there are some people who want promotions and are willing to trade favors.
Hmm. Right.
It could be unsavory and distasteful and the kind of thing that you wouldn't do, but yeah, there are people willing to make those trades
Yeah.
in their professional lives.
Here's the thing, though. So I think it's just a pattern of the way that he's gone about it, more so, where
Mhm.
he develops relationship with the woman, and it's supposed to be like a regular relationship, and then when that relationship gets developed, he can hang their life right in front of their eyes because he can say, "Oh, give her a big raise," or "Hell, fire her," and she's in such a poor financial situation that suddenly, hey, I was just dating this guy, and now my life's over because I have, unless I do the right thing and do whatever he says, or I'm not going to have any money coming to me.
It's the
And
power imbalance. Like Vince owns the company; he's your boss.
he's your
So
boss.
that's the problem. Is it ever? It's not like somebody actually made this work and got all the way into the C-suite.
Mm-hmm.
And is now chief financial officer or something because they slept their way up.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. Vince always kept the power dynamic, him way up here, and it seems them way down here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doubtful that that's really consensual.
Yeah. That's where there's a weird gray area. So, and I think it is debatable, but from my perspective, it's like it totally makes sense because it's not an equal relationship or
Yeah,
partnership that
it's
they've
not.
developed. It's like, oh, I have money. He kind of at first makes it seem like we're gonna get together and then suddenly he can pivot to, hey, listen, you got to do this, or I'm gonna just fire you. And then it's like,
Mhm.
whoa, that came out of nowhere, right? So he
You're a young
manipulates.
employee, the boss is giving you attention, and
Mhm.
suddenly it turns a little bit, and then later on it turns even more.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's the situation she was in. But well, that
Vince
was
McMahon, the king of the babyface to heel turn on his employees.
yes, he turned right because he's a baby face because she's actually interested in him and they're kind of dating a little bit, and then suddenly he once he's got his claws in, he just bites down and starts to kill him.
His
So
life is a shoot and a work. We've said it before many, many times during Cheap Heat.
yes, Vince's life is a shoot and a work. So after that very happy topic, what do we got next here?
An actual happy topic. It's about the AEW TV deal. A
Mhm.
little celebrating here in AEW. Chris Jericho saying they proved the experts wrong. This comes to us from Fightful Select with the new AEW TV deal. And he's really pumping this up and saying this is kind of historic here. Warner Brothers Discovery didn't want us to go anywhere. And you can see 185 million a year for a company that's only been going 5 years. That's never happened before. Obviously, WWE is the gold standard. They didn't have a deal like this 5 years in.
Mhm.
So he's saying, on schedule, ahead of schedule. AEW, as far as being able to land big money deals, looks like they're on or ahead of schedule as a wrestling promotion. Now, whether or not that's turning into profitability is another matter. But
Mhm.
they're getting noticed and people want to do business with them. And Chris Jericho, whom Tony Khan has previously said he wasn't sure if AEW could have launched without Jericho's involvement. Like Jericho is still such a homer for AEW. We know that people on the internet, I've been told there are people on the internet, John.
Mhm.
Some people on the internet do not like Chris Jericho having this much of the limelight at his age, this stage of his career. But there really is no doubt that he really is behind AEW and he cheers for them and he tries to really promote the company. And, like this was him going on Busted Open Radio and just talking up how great this deal is for AEW and what it proves about them and how, they prove the experts wrong. What say you about Jericho? You seem to have a more even keel take on Chris Jericho, and you watch AEW more than I do. Tell us in the chat. Tell us in the comments. What do you think about this deal in Jericho's comments? But John, of course, you're kind of our resident expert in AEW.
Yeah. So I do like that he puts experts in quotations because I had mentioned this before, but so many people were just praying for their downfall for some reason. Like, oh, they're not profitable. They're the next TNA. They're the next WCW. And no, they certainly aren't, because $185 million a year is a big contract. And they're certainly profitable as a result of it. And I've even seen people who are saying, well, they're so stupid, they'll probably start spending money and then they won't be profitable anymore. And it's like, oh, will you give up? Like, will you just stop it? You know, like, can you
speaking of which, some of the first fruits of this, Swerve Strickland officially finalizes one of the most lucrative wrestling contracts in the industry with AEW. So, frankly, that's what you're supposed to do with your money.
Yes.
Is reinvest it into your product.
And
if that means signing is Swerve Strickland worth the big contract? What say you, John?
I don't know the terms of the contract, but he certainly is a top guy with AEW. He would definitely be a top guy in WWE. He can talk on the mic. He's got a very, very unique character. And I think it's a character that will strike a chord with younger people. He is a cool guy. That's the only way I can describe it. He's actually cool. A young guy that's actually cool. He has kind of a hipster rocker look to him. And, you know, he is great in the ring. He's got a hilarious manager. So I have been really high on Swerve when he first came in. Well, when he first came in, I was like, oh, I kind of like this guy's gimmick. Like, he's cool. And sometimes in wrestling, like, that's impossible to do. It's very hard to find someone that's cool. You look at WWE, honestly, Cody Rhodes. I'm not really like he's very cool. You know, he's a great guy, but he's not cool. There's like some guys have that it factor, that cool factor, and he's got that. I think I don't know what the terms of the contract are, but it seems like they have some money to spend, and it seems like, and I know WWE was trying to get Swerve, so I feel like they were competing for him. There's contracts up, and they gave him the big money because AEW continues to outbid WWE straight up. They're paying more money to their wrestlers than WWE is paying to their wrestlers.
Ooh, real okay. Well, let's jump ahead then, because I saw this from Wrestle Purist. Rhea Ripley is one of the people renegotiating her contract, and it was kind of at WWE's request, from what I heard.
Yeah,
maybe they were afraid that if they let her contract play out, that AEW would make a run for her. So they had her renegotiate it. They say that she's locked in for 5 years at a considerable raise in salary. That comes from PW Insider, relayed from Wrestle Purists over on Twitter X. We were asked starting a wrestling promotion. Maybe it was by the Fixer last week. Who would you select? And you said Tiffany Stratton as a female wrestler, which is a great pick if you're looking 10 years ahead. I said Rhea Ripley just because of a right now factor. Yeah, she's got 5 good years left in her, barring injury, of course, and catastrophic things.
Yeah. I got
Rhea Ripley.
I like this line from the Fixer. Money spent wisely is money spent well.
There you go. So in both cases, you think this is a good idea of just shoring up your own talent who you have plans for?
Oh, this is a great idea for WWE because they've lost talent. They lost Edge, aka Adam Copeland, and he was a big part of their roster. Although he was on the older side, and I feel like, you know, he's had an impact but got injured in AEW, so we'll see what happens with him. I did a video on his injury. Go check that out on YouTube.
Yes, if you're watching on Twitch, on Twitter, or any other live stream, find Don't Bury the Lead, a wrestling channel on YouTube. That's where our motherload of content is. Not only these live streams, And not only the archived recordings of these live streams after we go off the air, but also, John, you make these great edited clips of our shows, and even the shorts, which are the sub 60-second clips. All of that stuff is on the YouTube channel. So give us a subscribe there. There's also a join button there. That's new. You can join for extra perks and extra support, which, of course, we always appreciate as well. So, yes, we haven't mentioned that enough in this live stream so far.
Yeah,
and
and
we have people watching different places. Find us on YouTube. Don't bury the lead. A wrestling channel on YouTube.
And I did want to go back, Dom. We were talking a little bit about AEW's contract.
Yep. Back to Swerve. There we go.
So I think Swerve was a good signing, and I think it's cool to see, and I agree with Tony Khan that this never would have happened without Chris Jericho. He was a huge part of it. He's a little stale right now, and I think he could get 6 months away, and he came back after 6 months, people would be freaking out again. He's just a little stale, but there's nothing, but he's been really good. I still kind of like his gimmick, the learning tree gimmick, which is he does a great job just kind of always mixing up his gimmick. So now he comes out and he says, "Hi, folks. Hi." And he waves like this. And it's so annoying because he's like, "It's me, Chris Jericho. I'm the learning tree. I'm going to be teaching you how to be a better person."
Oh, he's got to go away for 6 months, and he's got to come back with his own belt, and he's got to call himself the final exam.
The final exam. Yes. Book it, Tony.
Tony Khan, are you watching us?
I hope not, because Wrestle Dream's on right now. So,
hey, he could go backstage and keep an eye on things.
True.
There you go. The final. Chris Jericho is the final exam. There we go. So good signing, but AEW locking up key young talent for long term. WWE locking up key young talent for long term. I like it. Speaking of WWE, we asked last week. Drew McIntyre did not look like he bladed. Turns out he did not blade during that Hell in a Cell match. He got busted open from that toolbox that CM Punk hit him with. I wonder if that was just, call it on the fly in the match. Like Drew got legitimately busted.
Dom, I did a breakdown about this too today.
Yes.
And I will be releasing that tomorrow as I got flagged for adult contact. So I needed to edit the video a little bit and resubmit it.
Oh, okay,
I used the F word in it, and they got me for that.
You said fake?
I said
that not fake, John. He's got those staples in his head. Pro wrestling is real. NASCAR is fake.
We know that. That's the first shirt we're making, obviously.
If only we were ready for the election, it could be pro wrestling is real, democracy is fake.
Oh, yeah, that would be a banging election T-shirt. Wow.
Lawn signs for people. I saw one today while out for a walk. This is real cheap heat. It said Larry David 24. Pretty, 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 pretty good.
I wanted to pop this up because the fixer just said it. Drew needs a title run.
Some people have been saying he's been doing the best work of his career. This is Drew McIntyre from his X account. I saw red. Like he was legitimately bleeding here.
Ugh.
He was crazy bleeding. And he went a long time busted open. Busted open on the top of his head in this match.
I do have to say, as much as you don't want to see the wrestlers get hurt, I think this added to the match, the amount of blood coming out the hard way. Yeah. I mean, it's one of these things where the hard way cuts are the ones that, those are the best ones you can get because they're legit. You're not just taking a knife and slicing your face, but they hurt a lot. and
this one looked like it could have been dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Like this could have been concussion protocol as well as needing staples and stitches.
Yeah, I was seeing a little discourse, a conversation really about this, and it was like Finn Balor was wrestling Adam Copeland, Edge at the time in WWE, and he was having all kinds of problems, kind of standing up and stuff. He had hit his head really hard, and they kind of like slowed the match down. They made sure he was all right. For this one, it was surprising that they didn't slow it down, but he just pushed through it.
He pushed. Yeah, Finn Balor's another guy who really gives his all. He's a guy I've been impressed with, even though we don't see him a lot on SmackDown. But yeah, this
the Fixer saying
it makes you appreciate Drew more, I think, because of what he's gone through. I mean, at this stage of his career, he doesn't need to be doing this, but he's doing some of the best work of his career. And I think that if he gets another even world title run, you're saying Intercontinental US, even if he gets another world title run, and this time for longer than 5 minutes, I think he'd be well worth it.
Yeah, I think he's even probably. I'd rather see him instead of US or Intercontinental, one of the big belts.
One of the world titles, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So this came to us from WrestleZone here. So thank you for that report. Related to this match, CM Punk from WrestleZone. He met the person who made his friendship bracelet, at least the first time. He gifted her a friendship bracelet that he made, which was nice. So of course, one of the friendship bracelets was destroyed as part of the story angle. But this lady, Victoria, she was gifted a bracelet with the date of Bad Blood and Bad Blood on it from CM Punk. So this is one of those, neat things between a wrestler and someone who's legitimately a fan. This is a pretty cool story. I like this kind of stuff. She got to meet CM Punk briefly backstage, so this is also neat. And then, of course, the match goes off and CM Punk wins. So fun stuff here between a little breaking down the kayfabe there between a wrestler and a fan.
Oh, that's awesome. So she gave him the bracelet, and then he turned that into a storyline? That's what the storyline was from?
Yeah, I guess he used it so often and wore it on screen that became the storyline. And, of course, it got destroyed, so he needed a new one, and then he made her one and gifted it to her.
That's amazing.
Bad Blood. So because they were able to meet briefly during the Bad Blood festivities, so he gave her this bracelet. This is a pretty neat.
That's some amazing babyface stuff right there.
Right, that's a babyface move. So if he's supposed to be heel, it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Right, John, as the Bonsall Street Bomber, did you ever give anybody a fun little heartfelt memento?
As a matter of fact, I have.
All right.
I would come out smoking a cigarette, and when I would come out smoking the cigarette, I would hand it to someone as I went into the ring. And I would always try to find someone who I knew that didn't smoke, and I'd give them the cigarette. They'd be like, "Oh, what do I do with this? What do I do with this?"
Oh, so, bonus points if it's a little kid.
Give the cigarette to a child.
Like, make like you're going to hand it to the adult and then just like lower it and look right at the kid and hand it to an 8-year-old.
Sometimes I would look around.
Hold this for me.
Sometimes I couldn't find a good person to give the cigarette to. Like, it just didn't make sense. And I would give it to Big Steve, who was the bell guy and the ring announcer. Because I know he smokes. He knows what to do with it. But, like, if I could get it to someone, I would give it to him. And I try to do it, like, to a person there that, like, I knew and that would not be comfortable with it. Because not like a person that smokes. No, it's someone that.
What a wonderful heel move to engage the audience.
Hey, no, that's my gift to them. A cigarette they don't want.
I love it. A little bit more CM Punk stuff. This is also from WrestleZone. You could tell because they use the exact same stock photo of CM Punk for both articles. Hey, it's the news business. I get it. Mm-hmm. He was asked on the No Contest Wrestling podcast, pick 4 wrestlers that you would want to help him get out of a bar fight situation. He clarified it was current day stars and not all time, or he would have picked the famously tough Haku, but that was disallowed. You got to pick current people. His choices. One was Samoa Joe.
Mm-hmm.
His other 3, Braun Breaker, Shayna Baszler in case there's a woman involved, and Braun Strowman. And he said, all for obvious reasons. What do you think of that collection of 4 there?
The Shayna Baszler one made me think, oh, weird. But that's a great point. If there's a woman involved with the fight, then you were going to need a tough woman to fight the woman. So
Yes.
Shayna Baszler is a legit MMA person. So that checks a box. Braun Breaker for sure, a collegiate athlete in football. So, and he seems like a pretty legit tough guy.
Mhm.
Braun Strowman, just huge, very strong. And did he also say Samoa Joe?
Samoa Joe, yes. And in fact, he said, so one more, does it have to be somebody in WWE? And he said, Samoa Joe. And then he said, there have been, I don't know about statute of limitations, but there have been situations in the early 2000s where maybe somebody who looked a lot like me and somebody who looked a lot like Samoa were in similar situations to what you're describing.
Okay, so he knows firsthand why you chose him.
You know, and he was saying, Braun Strowman, for obvious reasons, it was something like, yeah, if we need somebody to clear a path for us and get out of there, like you're following Braun Strowman.
Yeah, maybe he didn't say Brock Lesnar due to the fact that, I don't know, he's kind of on the rocks at the moment. But Brock
Yeah.
Lesnar would 100% be, if I'm picking a pro wrestler, I'm thinking he's the toughest pro wrestler I can think of.
Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley.
But you would go, yeah. What are your 4? Let's hear them.
Oh, probably Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. Shayna Baszler is a good one for the reasons of, in case there's a problem with a woman there. And I mean, Braun Breaker's not a bad choice. Braun
No.
Breaker.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley. Instead of Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey for my woman.
She's retired though. Like he couldn't use Haku.
Oh, yeah. So then you'd have to go Shayna by default then. And then for men, I would go Dolph Ziggler. I know he's a good amateur wrestler.
Oh.
And let's think of one more.
Well, that's 4. So you're picking new people out of the crowd here.
Oh, I'd have to pick. Okay, that's all 4 of them.
That's 4 of them.
Yeah, Dolph Ziggler, Brock Lesnar. Oh yeah, we'd be killing people.
we get out of town safely, right?
Oh, we got
Unless
another
there's
one.
someone who knows Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Lashley, Leonard, Gunther, and Shayna Baszler. Leonard.
Lesnar, he meant.
Oh, okay. Lashley, Lesnar, Gunther. Okay. And Shayna Baszler. Very good. All right. I like it. Thank you for that one. Yes.
That's a fun game. And I think I'll make a video out of that.
It's a new wrinkle on the Mount Rushmore of wrestlers.
Yeah, the Fixer.
If you're in a bar fight and you
look out
need some help.
Look out for our channel. I'll probably make a video about that little segment we did there, and I'll include you in it. So thanks for your contribution.
Let's talk. Diamond Dallas Page had such a great time at Bad Blood that he last night was different. When I got home tonight, I signed my Legends deal and sent it in. Apparently, he'd been sitting on an offer to sign a WWE Legends deal, and he didn't want to do it. When he was invited to Bad Blood in Atlanta, he said, got to the building, spent quality time with Cody Rhodes, had all Legends pretty busy as well. I want to thank Paul Levesque, Triple H, for a hell of a time. With him at the helm of creative new owners, I personally had one of my favorite times at a WWE event. Knowing my Hall of Fame career was made in WCW, regardless of how many close friends I had there at WWE, I never felt totally welcome. But this time he did. The Legends weren't just seen as guys and girls who used to be wrestlers. Last night we were seen as true legends, superstars from the past that paved the way. Treated with the ultimate respect and kindness from everyone, which I believe is all we're really looking for. We love what we did. We're extremely proud of it. Many of us are beaten and broken, but we wouldn't have had it any other way. So that was it. The way he was treated at Bad Blood last night, I got home and I signed my Legends deal and sent it in. Um, we saw a lot of stars at this. They called some out. We recognized them here. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard from the Four Horsemen. Here's DDP with them and CM Punk backstage. There's Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. I don't know who this is. Does anybody know who this is? Tell us in the chat. Tell us in the comments. With DDP there. There he is again, it looks like, with Jacob Fatu. They're giving the diamond cutter sign. So, the modern wrestlers, they know the diamond cutter sign. They know the diamond cutter sign. Huge cheers from the crowd when he's introduced there in Atlanta, as well it should have been. Great shots. And, these guys who gave a lot to the business, they feel like they're still welcomed at the top levels of the industry. That's what the Legends deal is for, right?
Yeah. Very cool that they do this, honestly. And I'd have to say, you know, it is cool that they do this. And I think DDP said all the right things about the event. Maybe they're a little inflated or, exaggerated, but, you get on that Legends deal, you're working for the company, you want to say the right things. So he definitely said the right things there. Cool that they did it, and they get to go to the shows and they get to hang out. It's no pressure. It's not like they're working or they got to take bumps. They just wave.
And then there's Rob Van Dam. This comes to us from WrestleZone.
Yeah, and this is DDP. Is an amazing guy in and out of the ring.
Yes, if you've heard of DDP Yoga and the way he's helping people rehabilitate from injuries and even some addictions, yes.
Totally seems like it. Agreed. Sorry, go ahead, Dom.
Yeah. Rob Van Dam is apparently on a Legends deal. This comes to us from WrestleZone. He shares how he's got a WWE Legends deal and still gets to wrestle one-offs with AEW.
Wow.
The first of thing to note is that, yes, he doesn't actually have a contract long-term with AEW. It's just one-offs. I'm not under contract. I sign a per-match contract with them, which I've done maybe 5 or 6 times. His use in AEW is limited. They can't put me in video games, action figures, stuff like that. So you could say it's limited on both ends, or you could say I got both ends going, best of world worlds. Or you could say that RVD just does whatever he wants.
That sounds a very RVD statement.
Yes, F4W Wrestling Online there for the transcription of, the well-named Cheap Heat podcast with Peter Rosenberg. He calls his entire podcast Cheap Heat, not just one segment. So yeah, apparently RVD figured out a way to be a WWE Legends deal signee and every now and then just show up in AEW and wrestle. If it works for you, RVD, there you go. You're a big RVD fan. You've mentioned that before, right?
Yeah, and reasons like this statement he just had. He's probably stoned as hell saying this, and he's just like, look, I could just do whatever the hell I want, Look at him. He's got the tie-dye on with the peace signs and
the yin and yang tie-dye, yeah, man.
But it's interesting that he's on this deal, and WWE lets him wrestle in AEW. Can't be a part of the roster. He just can only do the one-offs. Yeah. I wonder if he makes enough on the Legends deal that it's not even to do nothing. Like, I wonder what that Legends deal looks like. And is he in the Hall of Fame yet?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm wondering if his shirt, though, the yin and the yang, the white represents the AEW and the black represents the WWE. And the black and the white represents the WWE in the AEW. Yeah. And the white and the black represents the AEW in the WWE. Yeah. So maybe that's what he's trying to tell us with this tank top that he wears out to the ring there. RVD, noted mystic and guru.
This is another one about DDP. Did some miracle work with Razor Ramon.
Yes, with Scott Hall for a while.
Mm-hmm. I saw that. It was pretty good.
Yes, because Scott Hall had some physical injuries and some substance abuse problems. Passed away a few years ago, but his quality of life was apparently better thanks to what DDP was able to help him with. Yes, very good. Speaking of people who may not be around long, Darby Allin pulls up to a random birthday party and teaches everyone the coffin drop. He posted this on his Twitter X account here. Someone had posted, Darby Allin, thank you so much for going out of your way to make my son's birthday memorable. I'm sorry he was so quiet and shy. Thanks again, GOAT. Now, the way Darby phrased it, though, pulled up at a random birthday party. So he just shows up places where there are birthday parties with the face paint on and starts teaching people how to do coffin drops.
What's the context? Why are you doing this?
Yeah, I mean, this is almost like the Bonsall Street Bomber just handing cigarettes to kids.
Right. Which you really can't do. That's very frowned upon now that we're talking about it. Some would say even actually illegal.
Yes. To hand a lit cigarette to a child.
Right.
In a public place.
And indoors, too.
But you know what's perfectly legal? Coffin drops.
Yeah, I mean, that's the place to do it. I was at one of these things 2 weeks ago, and they have all these different paddings and stuff that kids could jump onto.
Maybe these trampoline parks and whatnots for birthday parties.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. Darby Allin teaching people how to do the coffin drop. That's a little lighthearted there for Cheap Heat. We're almost done. One more. Big Papa Pump. Scott Steiner. His son, Brock Rex Steiner, is a receiver for Jacksonville State. Here he is catching a touchdown pass against New Mexico State in a football game. And of course, Big Papa Pump says all receivers are not created evil. The numbers don't lie. He had a 141 2/3 chance of scoring a touchdown here.
Perfect.
Yes, folks, it's the return of Scott Steiner's math promo from TNA Sacrifice 2008. Look it up on the interwebbies. I've been told there's wrestling on the interwebbies, John. Have you heard of this? There's wrestling on the interwebbies. There's wrestling people on the interwebbies. Scott Steiner and the math promo is on the interwebbies. There's even a subgenre of people doing things with the Scott Steiner math promo. Like Professor Scott Steiner typography that user AJ Minotti did here, where he's actually going to break down for you how to get to 141 2/3 chance. Apparently, this old promo was done in one take, and Scott Steiner, for whatever you want to say about him, he absolutely nailed the math.
Oh,
the
really?
Numbers work.
Let's see
One take. I know accountants who couldn't do that.
Let's see it. Press play.
Press play on this? Okay.
It's
this is from AJ Minotti's. As you could see, that statement is not true. One-on-one with a wrestler, you get a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak. I'm not normal. So you got a 25% chance at best to beat me. Then you got Kurt Angle in the mix. He's ragging on Samoa Joe here in this triple threat match. See, the three-way, you got a 33 1/3% chance of winning. But I got a 66 2/3 chance of winning because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me. So he's stealing Kurt Angle's 33 1/3 there. So you take the 33 1/3 chance that Samoa Joe has, and we're going to just subtract 25. So now he's all the way down 8 1/3. But now you take Scott Steiner's 75% chance of winning if they go one-on-one. You add the 66 2/3 for the triple threat. He's got a 141 2/3% chance winning this triple threat at Sacrifice. John, I have no idea how that match turned out.
I don't know anything about the match, but all I do know is I always assumed that he was not doing the math correctly and he was just saying words, but he actually nailed all the math.
He crushed the math. My God, it's unseasonably warm. It is pathologically frugal. John, what is it?
It's cheap heat.
The numbers don't lie. It's cheap heat.